Hey everyone, nothing particularly mind-blowing today about what I'm going to do, but we're finally getting out of the depths of winter and signified by today getting up to about 40 degrees, so it's time to get maple tapping. So what I'm looking to do today is get just a couple taps done. I'm not looking to go full force on this, but I'm looking to just see just how well the sap is flowing. Probably this weekend we'll end up putting out the rest of our taps. Last year I think we put out about 23 taps into maple trees, and we did about 7 taps into some walnut trees. So we'll do both of those procedures the same for either. Just make sure you check with the rest of your household before you tap those walnut trees to make sure you don't ruin anyone's veneer wood. So to start off, just don't be cheap. Go ahead and get actual spiles. These ones take a 5/16 drill bit to drill the hole. Put these into the tree, and then the end here will connect to tubing, which you also should not cheap out. Just go ahead and get your food grade tubing on that. But where I start to cheap out, I just reuse old milk jugs, and all I do for these is I take my drill and I go into the lids here. So make sure you've got the right size bit, line that up. I think actually the outer diameter on these is higher, so I'll have to go get my 3/8 for that. You could also put it in a clamp if you want to, and then test to see that your tubing gets in there. So for us, that gets pretty snug. And that was using our 7/16 drill bit, so now this is ready. And all I'll do is take it and screw it on top here. One thing to think about is using consistent containers that have similar lids. A lot of distilled water ones will have just a pop-off top. I used those a lot last year. I had access to a ton of distilled water jugs. This year I mostly got milk jugs that we've done a lot of cleaning out and rinsing. And you could put some sort of sealer around here. I don't really even bother. It doesn't become a problem until the very end of the season. You might get bugs, might have ants coming in there. But usually about that time that's happening is when you should probably stop tapping anyway, because the buds are usually swelling by then and the quality coming out isn't as good. So let's go get tapping. We tapped a lot of trees last winter, but by far this sugar maple was the best. Right here on the south side was where we had the best tap. And I think you can still see where the wound is. Right here. So we want to be far from that. Don't want to get too close to that. I can't remember the exact numbers, but I think it was something like at least 6 inches away from that former tap. So I think we'll move on over here, get this spot. And you want a good spot where it's nice and smooth and against the wood, not wanting to go in somewhere here where you've got a lot of this other bark on top. But you just want a good, nice entry point here. You want to drill straight against it, and since I'm using 5/16 inch spiles, I'm going to go in about 1.5 inches. So I did mark a spot here at 1.5 inches, so that way I can tell how deep I am as I'm drilling in there. I think the south side had something to do with how much came out, perhaps from the warming from the sun. Some of the trees out in the woods needed a little bit warmer of day temperatures than this tree did, so this will be a good one to start. If this one starts really flowing, we'll know it's time to get to the other taps. This one last year would put out over 1 gallon a day, so we had to check it multiple times to make sure it didn't overflow on us. Oh yeah, it's already flowing. So next, take my spile, and I actually keep around a very small hammer here. I want to just gently, very gently tap this in. And of course, if you did this right, you're going to see a lot of dripping, and if it's warm enough, of course, too. You don't really want to drill whenever it's below freezing anyway. You won't want to crack the wood or anything like that. So definitely we got some good action here today. Good steady drip. Usually let it drip here for just a minute and let it go ahead and get rid of all that junk in there from me drilling it out, and then we'll attach that hose. And of course, make sure you have a nice snug fit, and you'll be able to watch this just start dripping down. If it's a really good day for it, it'll really just be streaming down continually. And I put bricks down here below, and that helps hold those jugs in place. Now I would put a tap over here, but I don't think my chipmunk friend would appreciate that. We'll let him keep his home, and I don't want anything coming down from his home into my sap water. But this tree is large enough to support a second sap hole, so I will look over here. I did put one in here last year. It didn't perform as well as the other hole, but it could have been me and my drilling or something like that. I'm gonna put one a little bit higher up here and see if we get some good reaction from that one. It's good too to make sure you keep an eye on it, make sure you're getting good flow, and make sure you don't have any leaks up here where the spile is, or from anywhere in here. And make sure down here you got this nice and secure. If you're doing a bunch of taps, you can run around and get them all tapped, get them all plugged, and then come back and inspect afterwards. But definitely don't forget to check. You'll want to make sure you're not leaking down the tree or from out of the spile there. So coming here at the front of the yard, I've got one over here by the road I haven't actually tapped before, and then that's a walnut, another sugar maple here, and another walnut right here, and a few more walnuts along the edge here that could also be done. This one doesn't have very much height to it before it splits off, so this is a walnut I've tapped before, and will do again. It was delicious. So I'm gonna go ahead and get in on this one. So all we do once we've collected ours here, just when I've got just a few taps here, I don't have to do much extra. All I do is put these downstairs on top of our wood stove, and I let it simmer away, and gives us some more humidity in the house. I've found that it actually makes a much more amber colored syrup whenever it just kind of simmers instead of hard boiling it. But certainly some of ours we do hard boil, just trying to get rid of it as fast as we can outside over a fire. And I'll show you guys how I do that here in another video, and whenever the season really picks up, and hope you'll tune in and check it out. So have fun and happy boiling.